welcome everyone. Thank you for joining the opening event of the Non-Fungible TC HQ. It's great to see a lot of friends online at the same time, a lot of creative minds in this space. Really awesome to see you guys here. And for those of you who are new to Decentraland, if you haven't been to Decentraland before, you want to enter Decentraland Gallery, this is how you could do it. First of all, you could go to events.decentraland.org, or you could actually check on the chat box. Vissch helped us send a link. You can actually click on that link in order to join Decentraland. So basically, what happens when you click what you could do at the same time is that you could go to the event page, scroll down, and then you can actually click this. And then what will happen is that you go to this window. So if you have a crypto wallet, if you're familiar with Decentraland, you can actually continue with your wallet. But if you're new, you can actually put continue as guest. And what will happen is that it will land you here. So right now we do see several people here at the same time, which is really cool. So once you're here, this building is actually the gallery that we're gonna visit. And later we're gonna do a group photo together. My avatar is posted there already. This is the gallery. Welcome guys, and make sure, as Bitpixi said, to join the DG server. So for those of you who do not know, Decentraland actually has 11 different servers. So if you want to join, if you want to be where we are all at, join the DG server. So what you could do is that once you enter Decentraland, you could click on the map, click on Decentraland Realms, make sure it's DG, and click there, and then you'll see a bunch of people at the gallery right now. And yeah, so without further ado, let us begin. Let me introduce myself for those of you who are new. So for those of you who do not know me, I'm Non-Fungible TC. Welcome, thank you all for being here. And I actually have a YouTube channel. And before my YouTube channel, I worked in marketing and I was in the media industry. And I came across blockchain technologies, NFTs. And I was amazed by the technology and also by the people. So I've noticed that there isn't a lot of people who shared people's story within the space. A lot of people are just talking about the different type of tokens that would give you 100x, 200x, but no one is really talking about the people behind different arts and stuff like that. So I decided to create a YouTube channel, and in this YouTube channel, maybe you'll listen to some 100x projects in the future, but my focus would be more on the people and also more about different creators. So yeah, this is myself, and so welcome to the gallery. So this is the gallery. So this is a gallery with 3 different floors. In this gallery, on the first floor, you'll see different type of snapshots of the interviews that I've done in the past. There are different interesting stories in the space. On the second floor over here, you'll see some NFTs. Some are brought myself, some are given courtesy by the artists themselves, which will have all the artists sharing later today. And on the third floor, you'll see the vision and of my like the reason why I got this gallery, and also you'll see the design story by the architect himself. So Kenny is with me today as well.
Hi everybody.
So Kenny is from Malaysia. He'll share more about his story shortly. So he'll talk about the design concept, his company, and why he built this building. So without further ado, let us continue our guided tour. So as you can see, this is the first floor. You have all different sort of interviews, and you have to wait for the lift, okay? So once you see the lift, you can take the lift to the second floor, but then we'll begin our tour on the third floor. So it's interesting to see people hanging out here. I hope you're here in this Google Meet as well. So let me talk about the vision of this gallery. Yeah, I was just sharing that after being in this space, I have met a lot of amazing people. And a lot of these amazing people are with us today. I have met a lot of amazing stories, a lot of creators, a lot of artists. But I have heard that the barrier of entry to showing their art in a metaverse is quite high, especially like one in Decentraland, because the floor price of these parcels are usually quite high. And after being in this space and meeting different type of artists, what I wanted to do is that I wanted to buy a parcel so that I could actually support these people, right? I could help people have a low barrier of entry to host the exhibitions, to share the art with the people, to host parties and host events like what we're doing right now. So this is the reason why I got this parcel. It is solely for this reason. I'm not here to show off my NFTs or whatever. It is a place where I welcome anyone to reach out, to share the story, to borrow the parcel, to share the art with the people in Decentraland, in the metaverse, and globally. And I believe everything is a step-by-step process. In the past, I did build my first gallery in the Substrata metaverse, and at the same time now I'm able to move, not really move, but to have another gallery in Decentraland. So it is a step-by-step process, and I'm really happy with this. And I hope you enjoy this experience, and I hope you enjoy this new landmark in Decentraland. So without further ado, let me pass the mic to Kenny to share about the design story of this wonderful building.
Good evening to everybody. So my name is Kenny. So I'm from the Malaysia. Me myself is actually is an architect by profession, also interior architect. So first of all, I would like to thanks for TC giving me a chance, right, to design this HQ. The entire concept is talk about the cyberpunk. So in terms of the how we're going to implement into this design itself, right? So we understand that the entire building, they got the limited 60 meter by 60 meters. So we look into the cyberpunk, right, the field concept, whereby, right, the entire building itself must be very simple, modern. This is a basic principle for it. So we give this a keyword itself, right, how we're going to implement to the entire process of the building. So by understand the limitation, right, and from this so-called the rule integration, right, from the Decentraland. After that, we bring and merge with the just now what we're saying, right, the concept slowly into it and slowly and transform it to be a three layer. Again, also with the single layer itself, right, is a rectangular floor. We understand that how we make it, right, more interesting, right, compared with other building, right, when we transform the shape itself, right. So we also understand all the detail, right, must be have the similar language itself in terms of architecture, architectonic, right. The point of view, right, all the detail must be same. Going to apply the material, it is very important because when we in view of the cyberpunk, right, this more living into the urban city is very concrete look. So after that, we apply the material. How we going to make it, right, it's more dynamic. Eventually, we found that, right, neon light is playing is very, very important role, right, to shine up the entire building. Actually, Firework Design Studio, right, is established, right, by the year of 2008. Then we in Malaysia, we are quite active, right, for all the commercial projects like mega bookstore and mega detail project. At the same time, the reason why to make us, right, to transform to the metaverse architect, it is the reason because we found that as a designer or architect, right, we love our work because, right, in the real world there got two restrictions, and because a lot of the budget concern, eventually the design and the shape, right, may not turn in, right, that what we want. Eventually we found that, right, this Decentraland is one of the platform, right, is very good, it's very nice, right, for architect or designer to express their idea.
So yeah, I think it's amazing that actually Kenny and I met online on Discord. Because a lot of people, they don't meet up with other people on Discord because there's a lot of scammer. At first I was kind of skeptical as well when Kenny reached out to me. He's like, oh, I can build stuff. And then we had a chat, and it's amazing how the space could bring people together. So I do, and the amazing thing is that all of this is very new to Kenny. He is from a very traditional interior design company, and now he's moving into the metaverse. So that is really cool, and his company's work is just so amazing. I just have to show you, if we have any landowners, this is Kenny's upcoming project for Decentraland. But anyways, yeah. So next on, let us continue our guided tour on this floor. We have an art from Genuine Human Arts, and he is someone who is very well known for his pixel art and also cyberpunk drawing as well. So Jay.
Yeah, so I'm Jay. I'm Genuine Human Art. I've been making pixel art for more than 10 years, and yeah, like I was telling you, it kind of started to take off for me in 2015, and really went from there. I became known for my cyberpunk pixel art GIFs on Twitter. That's kind of how it started. And at that point, I connected with a lot of people in the synthwave scene, which is what I was listening to at the time. And we kind of had this mutual admiration, I guess. So I ended up working with a lot of people in that scene and really became known in that scene. And it kind of started to branch out then from there over the few years after that, and I guess I started to get kind of like bigger and bigger commissions really up until about 2019 actually, and then I had this choice in 2019. It was like really where my art was kind of taking over everything in my life, in my day, I guess. And I had this thing of like, okay, well, this now could be my job. Do I want this just to be my job? And I actually came to the decision I did not want it to be my job, because when it was cool when I was making stuff for acts that I really liked and I was listening to at the time. But it was around that time that I started doing work for hire that was not necessarily stuff I would have done anyway. You know, it's not like art that I would have created by myself anyway. And it's a weird thing when it does become a job. That kind of completely changes how you feel about the art that you make, or at least it did for me. So I actually wound down commissions in 2019, and then just concentrated on my personal art with no real goals other than exploration at that point, but then discovered the NFT scene in 2020, and that really kind of changed everything. I minted my first piece on Known Origin in 2020, and like I was telling you, they were fantastic. They were so helpful. They've been I think they're really good for artists, and they really helped me through the whole process. And yeah, it kind of took off from there. I wasn't sure how it was going to go, but my art was very well received, and I've been very fortunate. I have a lot to be thankful for in the space. And the whole idea of an emerging digital art market, for me, that's a game changer, you know, and that always has been a game changer. So I think it's amazing. So yeah, my new project, Ethereal States, has been in the works for more than 6 months now. It is my first project of this kind, of generative art project, and it's going to launch on the week of the 20th of June. Yeah, you can see it there. It's a kind of wide banner format type project. We're doing 7,000 editions, and they're generated from more than 500 pixel art assets, each, you know, made pixel by pixel. And yeah, I'm hoping it's going to do well. It seems to have gathered a lot of traction. You know, again, like everything else in the scene, I didn't know how it would be received. I'm kind of known largely for my one-of-one art, so this is quite a different thing for me. What I wanted with this was something that, because one of the challenges with one-of-one art, even when you're doing well, or maybe even, you know, because, you know, partly when you do well, is that you kind of price a lot of people out of your art, which kind of sucks sometimes, you know. It's like you want more people to be able to enjoy it, and so this for me was a way of doing that. And that's why I wanted so many assets in here, that each piece would be unique in itself. And that's currently the testing we're doing is test outputs and working through them. And there's a huge amount of variety in here. I'm spotting surprises myself when pieces get put together, you know. So yeah, that's really the thought behind the project.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing, Jay. I think we have our next work from the Philosopher, who has the original conceptual frame.
Nice to meet you, friends. I'm the Philosopher. I am a philosopher, a PhD philosopher, and also a traditional artist. I work with assemblage, collage, sculpture, and painting, and digital art from 2021, from the beginning of the year. This original conceptual frame is based on a real assemblage I made from pieces of frame I collected from a frame store that is a friend of mine, and I would like to express with this frame some philosophical thoughts about the concept of aura by Walter Benjamin. And some thoughts about the institutional theory of art. So what's that? The concept of aura is, Walter Benjamin tells us that when the reproducibility of pieces of art started to happen, the pieces of art start to reduce the aura. So before reproducibility, people would have to have some difficulty to get to the art, to see a piece of art. after we can print them and we can see them on our screens, it reduced the aura that the pieces of art had. So I'm talking about this, about the reproducibility of art and how it reduces the aura of the pieces of art, and also talking about the institutional theory. The institutional theory tells us that what is determined, by the institutions of art. So what makes something a piece of art is an institution of the art world saying that it is an art. So I put a frame with nothing inside in order to talk about how institutions could frame everything they want as art. So we are talking also about the empty choices of some curators when they choose an exhibition to set up. And this frame is golden like this because we want to talk about also of economic values that in art are superior than even the aesthetical values. So the original conceptual frame talks about that, and it is part of a collection of frames that I minted on Non-Origin. And all these frames talk about art in some way. We try to talk about how institutions have some power on art and how the NFT world mimics the same problems that the traditional art world. We think that decentralization is happening now and can help us in some way, but what we see is that we keep having a difference between artists, an inequality between artists that it's not solved by decentralization. And if we have decentralization at all, given that we have many marketplaces that are centralized, and to achieve true decentralization is very different than the path we are walking now. So all the conceptual frames talk in a way about the world of art and how art is influenced by institution, by economic values, by marketing. We also know in NFT world how much marketing can interfere in our sales. So I would like to talk about these philosophical topics of art world and digital art world. So I made this collection in order to express these things. There are many frames for many many thoughts about it, and I invite you to meet them. I am a traditional. I am first a philosopher. I met art in 2016, maybe, with my partner that showed me art. I didn't like art, but when I start to go to museums, I start to love art, to be amazed by art, mainly conceptual art. I like conceptual art a lot. I like that art makes me think about reality and about things that are happening, about philosophical questions. So I start to produce art and develop. I think the first kind of art I developed was something I call nudging breath. It's not here, but it's I make some drippings with nudging on paper, and then I blow this dripping and make the forms with blowing. So it's a technique I developed without knowing I was developing that. I just blow some ink on the paper, and then I saw what happened and said, oh my God, I can do something with that. And from this moment on, I start to be amazed by art. And when I met the NFT world, I was just, oh my God. Before the NFT world, I just someone stole my piece of art in a gallery, so I was very concerned about making another physical exhibition again. So when I met NFTs, it was just what I was expecting. And when I met the virtual worlds like Voxels or Decentraland, I thought, oh, this is the real place of NFTs. So I started to produce NFTs to this world and enter this world each time more. So that's me. I'm voxel storyteller too. I'm working with voxels and with Bitpixi in some mini games on voxels. So if you want to know also our work, not so in visual art too, since we have wearables, but come to CryptoVoxels, to Voxels, and enjoy our mini games. There will be one releasing soon. And if you want to know my art, please go to No Origin and get in touch with the Philosopher conceptual frames. I have one more art there that is not a conceptual frame. That is a physical art that was for a Navidad scene contest. We did not win the contest, but the city all talked about our piece of art. It's a baby in a golden trash. It's an assemblage, so it's a baby in a golden trash that is all written down with words like that refers to women, LGBT people, and many kind of people that are not valued in our society. So it was a critique to Christianism and the new Christianism, let's say it this way. That is that there are a lot of prejudice. So that's it.
Now, next speaker, who is Vissch?
Yeah, I'm Vissch. I'm a creative director at Red Door Digital, and Red Door Digital is a metaverse company. We create GameFi stuff. I myself have been in the game industry for about 10 years. Yeah, this is one of my NFTs. This one I made when I was in Vietnam. Before the COVID pandemic, I used to be a digital nomad, travel around everywhere, and then do freelance work. I think this one particularly was very related to my situation. I was in Vietnam, Hanoi, and that city is pretty cyberpunk, I'd say. It just looks kind of shabby, but in a good way. I feel like I really love that city, almost post-apocalyptic, I'd say. But it's very different from other places, and that's why I love it so much. I think I've stayed maybe almost 8 months there. I was traveling a lot and just sort of got stuck in that place. At that time, I would party a lot. So at some point, my schedule would just be staying up at night and doing art in the hotel lobby, and then seeing other people party. Every time I would go outside for a smoke, or not every time, but sometimes there would be some dogs outside. A little bit what this art piece is inspired by is me smoking outside with a pig instead of a dog, I suppose, in this interesting environment, you could say. Oh yeah, and this one is actually for sale on Foundation. It's a piece very dear to my heart, so I'm not selling it for cheap. Sorry guys.
I don't think you should. I mean, like you are very modest in introducing yourself. So Vissch, he used to work for one of the major game companies as a conceptual artist. So he does a lot of conceptual art for the gaming companies. And then he decided to just leave his Web2 job and go full into Web3. So he's developing a new game with his team on Solana, which is called Ring of Terror. So definitely check that out. Really cool. Thank you so much for sharing this. So we'll move on to Bitpixi. Bitpixi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good.
Are you ready for NYC?
Yes. So I'll be at NFT NYC, and Voxel's team from New Zealand will be there. And we see here, this is a Vox format, and what that is, it's like a volumetric pixel. So it's a 3D pixel. That's what Voxel is. And Voxels rebranded from Crypto Voxels. It's a metaverse. That's where I work. And this piece is about a bar that I have there and a drink. And of course, it's like this pastel theme with wings and fairy pixie vibes, you know, because that's sort of my thing. Yeah, but I like Decentraland too. I like all the other metaverses. I love in here. If it hadn't crashed, you would see I still have these glowing wings. I love that Decentraland supports missions, although it's a bit GPU heavy. I love being in the NFT space and seeing everyone's art and seeing how we all intersect at different times. It's a really beautiful thing.
Thank you so much for being here. I know you just woke up a while back, but yeah, I just wanna bring you guys together because you guys are like really amazing people in the space. You have people in the metaverse of gaming. We have in art. We'll have Sevi share first.
Hi, this is April, Sevi Swami. Thanks for having me here tonight, TC. So Sevi is my 9-year-old son. He was diagnosed with autism when he was 2, and when he was 5, we enrolled him to art therapy that was being offered at the center that he was attending, and not expecting anything, but it turned out he really enjoyed it, and he turned out to be pretty good at it. And so we started to share his artwork from our personal Facebook pages, and until we finally created a page for his work. And in March of 2021, a friend of ours told us about NFTs. And actually, when he first called me and he said he was so excited, and he said, I want to tell you about something. And I thought, oh my goodness, he's gonna sell me something. It's a multi-level marketing thing. But I gave him the time, and not really understanding all of it, he walked us through creating our wallet on MetaMask, and teaching us how to share on Twitter and how to interact with artists. And we were fortunate that that Sevi was accepted by a group. It's called First Mint Fund. It is co-founded by 2 Filipinos who provide artists in Southeast Asia with the fees to mint their first NFTs. And so we applied Sevi as an artist, and we were fortunate to get that grant. And so we were able to mint his first few pieces. So we've been in the space for over a year, and it's really been an amazing experience. Obviously, we were just happy to share his work, but really to be able to see how people have welcomed him as an artist and appreciated his work. It really means a lot to us as parents, and we're here to share how even kids have a place in the NFT space, and for Filipinos, it's really life-changing because we're a third world country, and things are tough, not just in the Philippines but everywhere in the world. So this is really life-changing for people, and for Sevi, who will likely need therapy for many more years. This is an avenue for him to be able to continue funding his therapy. Thankfully, we haven't needed to touch this fund, but if he wants to be an artist and continue to be an artist, then this is his source of income. So far, he is enjoying it. It's work for him sometimes, but we see how he enjoys the artwork, especially if it's a subject that he particularly likes. But he's only 9 and things can change. But we support him as best we can, encourage him. He sees how people react to his work, and he's happy about that. But it's more so when he sees his work being displayed in the Central Land and in other galleries online and in the metaverse. He's like, "Oh, I painted that," and for him, that's such a thrill. And that's really what we wanted to share how proud we are of him as our son and as a child with autism. And it's an amazing experience for us, most of all because even if we weren't selling the work, because he's doing the art, he has benefited so much from it. His concentration has improved, his communication has improved, and that's just because of doing the art. So being able to sell his work is really just an added bonus. So we hope to be able to continue to be in the space and be active in the community. We try to support other artists as much as we can, especially other kid artists who are also maybe saving up for their future and whatnot. But you know, the kids are the future and they're starting this early. And we've seen many amazing young artists who, you know, we're surprised at their talent. And we feel that by giving them the support now and the encouragement now, if they decide to continue along this path, then amazing things can happen for them and for the space. So thank you for welcoming us into the space.
Thank you, April. I love, you know, chatting with our parents of artists who are in the space, because it is you guys who empower your children to create such an amazing art, and not only create but share it with the world. As you said in the interview that I did with you, it is the mothers who stay up late, like right now, to share about the children's art. So yeah, thank you so much for being here. And I'll move on. We do have another children artist who is also on the spectrum, who is amazing, Devya, but I don't think she's here today. But I just want to share another amazing thing, that is her art was actually displayed in a mall here in Hong Kong. And when I know that, the first thing I did in the morning is I went to that mall and I took this photo and I shared with her, because it's just such an amazing thing. Like, people who are in the mall, you know, they don't understand NFTs, right? They didn't know the story behind this. But for me, I know her. And I know the family, I know everyone behind that. And that's why it means so much to me that all of you are here, because I know all of you have different stories to tell, and it's just an amazing space. So I just want to share this. I went there to support her, and it's just really amazing. So moving on, Rosco, you have another amazing story, which is a father and son duo. Can you share more about your art?
Hey guys, yeah. Yeah, thanks for having me. So my dad has been an artist for the past 25 years. He mainly does paintings, but also other kinds of materials. And the central thing in his work was always that it's always like abstract work centered around stripes. And the thing is that if you're like a person and you're painting stripes, you can try to do that as perfect as possible, but there will always be some mistakes, like dripping paint or like not completely straight lines, which is kind of the beauty of you know, artwork as well. So then last year I figured it could be interesting for him and I to work together on more digital art, because he has always been like more on the like sort of the traditional physical artworks. So we came up with this sort of project, because when you enter the digital art, or like at least for like, let's say generative digital art, like a computer can like render perfectly straight lines or perfectly created circles, or anything that a computer makes is inherently kind of can be perfect, but that also means that it's less interesting. And it kind of lacks the depth that sort of manual execution of art has. So in this in this project, we specifically try to sort of recreate or simulate those imperfections, like those mistakes that you make as an artist. And in this case, the collection is both a collection of physical works and digital works. So we have a bunch of physical artworks, and these are paper panels next to each other with paper stripes on top of it, and then sort of these digital artworks that simulate the same ideas, and they're never actually the same, because these digital artworks are all generated, but they all derive from the same, like they're based on the same processes that my father uses for his physical art. And all the colors and everything are based on actual colors of the physical paper that we use for the physical art. So if you have one of these NFTs, if you minted them or bought them, then it's also possible, for example, to request like an actual manual reproduction of that art, and then my father will actually like cut all the paper and reproduce the same artwork. Yeah, that's the core of the work, I guess.
Thank you for sharing. I think the amazing story with you is that unlike Sevi and Devya's story, is that you as a son, you're helping your father do this. So it's not the parent having the children to do this. For those of you who are in this panel, if you don't know, Rosco is the guy behind Revoke.cash. So he's using his own skills and programming and his understanding of NFTs to help his father come into this space. So I just think it's just an amazing story. Yeah, thank you, Rosco, for sharing that.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll move on to another amazing artist, which is Todd.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, this is awesome. It's great to meet so many amazing people I've followed on Twitter and hear great stories. Rosco, I literally use your site every day. Thank you, like literally every day. Yeah, so adult fantasy is built by a team of industry veterans. My background is from Marvel Comics, Cartoon Network, Adult Swim. I've been a comic and animation person, director for over 26 years. And what Adult Fantasy does is it helps its community members, who we lovingly call adults, develop world-class character-based universes. And we do so via decentralized world building and lore creation. So what we're doing is we are creating the next generation of the Marvel Universe, but we're taking a different approach, which is being 100% inclusive and doing it from a bottoms-up approach. And we think this is a radically new method as applied to IP development and character franchise creation, because this is something that you can only do via Web3. So all of these, we have, in the first set, we had 25 characters. It's also very interesting in terms of a project, from my standpoint at least, because we spent all of last year inventing new technology that allowed us to create non-generative, generative works. So this is the actual NFT, and what's so interesting about it is that it's fully engineered. So this is a legitimate case with a legitimate card, and what the technology does is it actually creates a generative process on a static object. So what that means is that when everybody minted our first set, our Genesis collection, there's only 25 cards, and when everybody minted, they ended up having a grade. So we're taking a piece out of memorabilia. So if anyone's familiar with CGC grading or collectible grading that you would see at like an auction site, where people are taking their collectibles and having them graded to see exactly, to have the value based not just on rarity, but based on the actual condition of the work. We thought it would be kind of fun to take something that is always perfect, which is an NFT, and actually apply sort of a deviant damage system to it to further make everything individual. So on mint, everybody minted a 0.5, which is a horrible grade. It is actually very poor. So we had scratches and tears and rips and all kinds of damage, as you can kind of see here. And then what the algorithm does is, over time, every single day, basically on the back end, there's almost like a die roll that determines whether the grade increases, meaning it gets better, it de-ages over time. So maybe the surface gets better, maybe the centering gets a little better, maybe the edges get a little less worn, and maybe the corners get a little sharper. So over the course of time, what we've created is basically the world's slowest marathon, where everyone starts at the same point, and the actual rarity isn't determined for an extended period of time. In this case, 4 years. So we have a 4-year slow path to the final resting point for true rarity. And so that's what a lot of what we do is kind of play with the dials. So Casey says, so after 4 years it locks? Yes, it ends after 4 years. So a lot of what we're doing is playing with this idea of rarity and really bridging that mid-tier gap that we all face if we're collecting NFTs or making NFTs, which is everyone either goes to the whale bait, which is the most expensive stuff, or they go to the floor, which is sort of the cheapest stuff, which is just safety. It's de-risking. The problem happens is if you buy NFT number 5,727, you're kind of stuck in this giant middle. So we like the idea that like with grading, well, now what happens if you have the rarest card? In this case, this is the primordial card. It's our rarest card. There's only 16 of them in existence. But what if the highest grade on the most rare card is a 6.5, but then you have this common card that there's thousands of them or hundreds of them, but there's only one gem mint 10.0, one perfect card. We don't know, but we know that that common card is no longer common, and it gives the ability for the card to move across the spectrum towards something else. So we're really, when we talk about inclusive, we mean everybody, including people that support, like the community that supports the mint should celebrate and have the chance for their NFT or their work to actually appreciate beyond just what it's stuck at as a number. So another thing we just launched a few weeks ago is autographs. So we now do real-time autographs. So we can do streams like this and say, hey, everybody, drop your wallet in. We're going to pick one person to do an autograph. And we've done it. We do it live. I sign it live. So it's a one-of-one autograph. And we're able to, whatever card they own, we can pop it in. And all of a sudden, boom, now they have something that is no longer static. And I've got one more thing to show if you give me just a second. And this is special because Timothy's awesome. He does a fantastic job. This is an amazing thing, and he's a fantastic interviewer. So I wanted to share something we're actually releasing in the coming weeks. We only have shown this to a couple of people. This is not public. This is our new drop coming out in just a couple of weeks. This is a mint pass. This is just a static image, but I don't have the turnaround here. So this is a mint pass, but for us, a mint pass is something unique and special. So what this is we're taking a page out of old school comics, and we're doing something called an ash can. So an ash can is a really old school, kind of a photocopy book, which is just previews. It just previews upcoming works, right? So this is a comic. It'll have a little magazine in it. You'll be able to see all the stuff that's coming out. It's got some exclusive special edition stuff. But you can see just from the level of detail that the damage on here is completely randomized. It's fully generative. So no two comics, no two books, no two cards are ever damaged the same. It's fully generative. And on mint, this will actually be static. So this is an example of a 0.59 damage or grade, right? This is like lorem ipsum right here. Obviously, it wasn't minted in 2021, but yeah. So this is an example of what we're coming out with next. So we'll have a couple of different rarity tiers in terms of the color, in terms of the actual NFTs themselves, and then we're adding a second layer, like a second layer NFT rarity in terms of the quality, in terms of the damage, and then there's signings and autographs and all kinds of stuff. So that is kind of what we're working on, and we're super excited to share this with you guys today, and especially with everybody here is like so freaking good. So yeah, I really appreciate your time.
So yeah, let us continue with our stream today. But before I begin, I know I'm amazing. Can we do like a live autograph someday in the future? This is my card. I would love to have your autograph on the gallery.
Yeah, for sure. Let's do it.
Yeah, like not today, right? You need to get your equipment, right? But all right, so we're moving on to our next speaker. So this is our last speaker, who is gonna be Nikki.
Hello, for those of you guys who don't know me, I'm Kumo from Kumo's World. We are a ready launched project since last November. About the project, we're a story focused project. So we're a community project that we focus on storytelling. So we're a fantasy world where people can come together and just be themselves. They can, I guess the whole point is to, embrace your inner child, because as we know, the world is quite serious and we get a bit lost in becoming adults, right? So everyone is told to grow up, you need to take your responsibilities, and people forget their playful side where they can be a child, they can just have fun without having to do something productive, because people these days, they're like, oh, I've done nothing today, I've been so unproductive. But you can take time for yourself to play, to just be a kid again sometimes. And so the world that we're creating is, bringing back the innocent fun in people's lives. And so we design stories, we have events, we have games, and interactive storytelling. to hopefully rekindle this so-called lost bond with their inner child. And I guess why it's important, because like I said, you know, we're not really given a chance to breathe without like all this stress of being an adult. And I guess we just want to have this like long-lasting impact on people's life through imaginative storytelling, and just to let people be able to create and be imaginative, because a lot of the times people in the Discord, they always say, oh, but I'm not an artist, I'm not a creative, I don't know how to make art. But at the end of the day, you know, art is just an expression of someone's creativity. There's no right or wrong in art. People make their judgment based on what they think. So it's almost like, why let someone else's opinion on your expression of creativity stop you from being creative? Because, you know, you don't have a 3-year-old saying, oh, sorry, I don't draw, I'm just not an artist. They just take the pen and paper that you give them and they scribble and they do their own thing, because, you know, they haven't had that so-called judgment. It's like after a certain age, I don't know when, but somewhere along the way, someone has told that person, you're better off doing something else. You know, you're not that great at art. Art isn't your thing. And then they start to believe that. And so in the Discord, we always encourage people to, you know, oh, take part in the stories. You don't even have to draw. You can write. You can do so many other things that's like creative as well. And that's kind of like we're trying to like build on this community and, you know, encourage people to just be a child again.
Thank you so much for that. Well, moving on to our next session, we're gonna do like a group photo. So for those of you who are on Decentraland, it would be great that you could join in this group photo. I wish it was a photo with more people, but I mean, there are a lot of people in the gallery right now, which is great. If you are in Decentraland, why don't we all try to take a virtual screenshot, like if you are still on Decentraland. All right, awesome, we got this photo. Thank you guys. If you're in Asia, good night. If you're in the US or North America, good morning. Have a great Sunday, and we'll see you guys soon again. Bye bye. Thank you all for coming. Really appreciate it.